Hello, AEP 854 School Finance class. My name is Wade Talley, and this is Module 11. Just a little bit, maybe. Hi, Module 11, or Chapter 10, had to deal with gifts and prizes given out to not only students, but also to teachers as well. And specifically, it started off talking about the fact that, how you can use school activity funds. So school activity funds can be used to pay for gifts and or prizes in two situations. And one, it must be an incentive for the fundraising event. For example, I know we have like cookie dough stuff whenever we do music fundraisers. It's so much items they sell, the more cookie dough they can get. And there's even cash prizes at times too. So also nothing that amounts to anything, but yet there is cash prizes for incentive funders. And two, the gift prize must be is an award for a special achievement. Okay, so there's the two requirements as far as for the use of school activity funds. And I'm assuming that has more to do with athletics or band or music, or they've done something special, a good achievement, and so you give them an award for that, whether it's a plaque or something like that. So fundraising incentives, as far as in detail there, they can only be given to students who participate in the fundraising event. From what I'm understanding, so that means that if the group sells it and you have group goals, if the person did not participate in that event, I do not believe they can receive it. So, two, prize must be age appropriate, and that would be a no-brainer for any educator. Does not affect the profitability of the event, and of course, you can't take all your profits and go out and buy prizes for your students. That would not work very well. Or purchase with funds raised by that particular event. So you can't use funds from a different, in a sense, I guess, a different area or like an account, nor can you use it from a different fundraising event that you've done. You need to use that fundraising event to support the gifts and incentives given out. And gifts not related to fundraising cannot favor a particular group. So of course you got to make sure you're treating all the kids fairly. Special achievement gifts, these would be awards. It should be nominal in value, and again, age appropriate. And nominal in value means you don't need to go out and spend a bunch of money and take all your funds and use it for rewards for your students. Funding rewards may come from general fund, donations from businesses or parents, or from athletic fund. Gifts to staff members. So not only did the chapter address students, but address the staff members. Special occasion gifts. One, they must be reasonable in price, and two, paid for through staff remembrance fund. As far as the remembrance fund, this money comes from annual dues or money that was specifically raised by the staff itself, not by the students, but by the staff itself. Money is managed by a committee, and it must be managed by a committee, and that committee needs to be rotated every year too. So there's some in and out as far as who's handling the money. It's shifted from year to year. Committee must meet at least once a year. And last, the dollar limits must be set for gifts. So that way you don't go out and spend more on somebody else than you would. It needs to be fair in a sense. Set the dollar limits for the gifts. Gifts to staff members, continued fundraising incentive gifts. So if your staff is included in the fundraising, and this was similar to the students. Staff members must participate in the fundraiser. Well, of course, that would make sense. Gift expenses subtracted from generated profit. So they must, and again, it must match up with the fundraising event. So that fundraising event must support your gifts and incentives. It must not come from a different fund. And again, it must be reasonable cost, and you don't, in a sense, what they're saying, I think, is that you're not going to have a fundraiser and then go out and buy a bunch of gifts and stuff for your staff members. And then four, no more than 5% of overall profit can be spent towards the incentive gifts, which I think is very fair. Gifts for entire staff. Funds, so if you're going to give to, in a sense, to say everybody's going to get a pen. That's what they're talking about here. Funds generated by staff can be used to benefit staff. So it goes back to, again, if the staff is generating the funds, just as if the students were, it needs to be spent on whom it was generated by. 2, incentive and recognition gifts may be purchased but inexpensive. If there's a common theme throughout it, they must be reasonable in price. And in this case here, book recommended limiting this practice, as in don't even use general funds to purchase any type of gifts. And the reason why is that dollars raised by students should be spent on students. So in that general fund, if there was dollars raised by students and then it got spent on staff, that is not up to date by the policies of not only probably your school district, but as the state as well. No cash nor checks types items should be given out to staff members unless it's added to the employee's W-2 form. So special effort gifts and awards, any dollars given to an employee by the school must be reported for tax purposes. So no matter what the school does as far as or what it gives to anybody, it has to be reported towards on the W-2 form. Dollars raised to benefit a teacher who's going through, not those going through, actually maybe it is teacher or those going through difficult situations, it should be raised through an outside group. And the book recommended this, that you don't take them funds and put them into a school type of an account. And so what I would suggest, and we've done it at our school many times, is we just pass the hat to the teachers and we just all put in cash. And if somebody's going through a tough time, whether it's a kid in the hospital or going to the hospital themselves, but just to give them some spending money, we would pass the hat and give them cash. So as far as the references for this, it was basically I got everything from the book. And so it was a very interesting chapter. Again, all these chapters have been very interesting as far as school finance. There's a lot more rules out there and regulations than a person realizes until you get into these classes. So thank you very much and have a good evening.